Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special series of reports on the 11 megatrends of 2008, brought to you in association with ASB. We're now on to megatrend number 8, where we talk about the rise and the fall in some interest rates over 2008. It really has been a huge year for interest rates. We've seen a change in the yield curve, we've seen record falls in the official cash rate, we've seen moves all over the place. It started the year with the official cash rate at 8.25%. Back then, the 2-year fixed mortgage rate was at about 9.3% and the 6-month fixed rate was at 9.6%. The variable rate for mortgages was at 10.3%, well over 10.3%, and credit cards were at 19.5%. We didn't think it could get any worse. Well, it did, as the credit crunch kicked in and made it more expensive for banks to borrow offshore. So we saw that 2-year fixed rate rise to 9.64%. The 6-month rose to 9.9%, and the variable rose well over 10% to 10.6%. Obviously, it was a lot more attractive to go long than to go short. Credit card rates rose over 20% to 20.2%. Then the global economy really started to slow down, and the Reserve Bank of New Zealand decided that the inflation pressures, although there, were going to ease off, and it had some room to cut interest rates. It started off small with a 25 basis point cut in July, then 50 in September, panic starting to set in perhaps, 100 in October. By December, another 150 basis points cut in the official cash rate. We're now down to 5%, down from 8.25% at the beginning of the year. But not all interest rates that we pay or receive have fallen that much. And it's quite interesting to look at which have fallen the most and which haven't fallen at all. Starting with credit card rates. They are stuck at 20.2% on average for all the banks, even though the official cash rate and the 90-day bill rates, where those credit card rates are funded from, have dropped substantially. Variable mortgage rates too haven't dropped as much. They're down about 275 basis points, whereas the official cash rate is down 325 basis points. The 6-month rate has fallen the most, 6-month mortgage rate. That's down from about 9.9% to 7%, so a full 300 points. But business base rates, the rates that small to medium businesses pay and some large corporates, it's actually been steady at 13.6%. Tough time for businesses. Bank margins, however, have been squeezed through this period. It doesn't sort of make sense. Surely if the banks are holding on to some of those rate cuts, they'd make more profits. The problem is that our biggest banks fund about 40% of their lending by borrowing offshore, and that lending has been much more expensive because of the credit crunch. They've also had to compete quite hard for retail deposits in New Zealand. They've been like gold. And so even though those retail rates have fallen, they're actually taking a bit of a loss on those compared to the market rates. Now, some of you may recall earlier in December, the Reserve Bank Governor came out and called on the banks and the power companies and the councils to play their part in helping the economy to recover, implying the banks needed to pass on all the cuts in the official cash rate. However, the banks are passing on as much as they possibly can and taking a bit of a cut in their profits, their profit margins to do it. Now, the end result of all these changes and things not changing is a change in the shape of the yield curve, something that we experts on interest rates get very excited about. But what it means, though, is if you're looking to borrow, it now makes more sense to go shorter rather than longer, because those 6-month rates and the variable rates are now below the 1-year and 2-year rates. And we're expecting through the middle of 2009 for the official cash rate to drop to 4% or even lower. It's at 5% now. And for that variable mortgage rate, to drop below 7%. And for the 2-year rate to drop close to 7% as well. I'm Bernard Hickey. That was megatrend number 7 in the 11 megatrends of 2008, brought to you in association with ASB.